We're being recorded, so please keep their chatter down, try not to speak. And we have a microphone over there. If you want to be heard, you're welcome to go to the mic or pass it around. The way it works is I have an outline. We follow the outline. If you have a specific question to what we're discussing, ask it, and we'll try to answer it. If you have any other questions, save it. The last half hour of the presentation is where you get a chance to ask us questions, and we'll try to answer them for you. I'm going to start by saying we're not lawyers. Don't ask us for legal advice. Just want to let you know that here today you have Ruth Dries. She's the editor of our UCO Reporter. She does a fantastic job. You have Joanne Robinson, who you know is our treasurer. Eva Racheski's here. She's the vice president of WPRF. Vice President Patricia Caputo, and Donald Foster, you know, is our property manager. So, I'm the chief cook and bottle washer. Okay. Well, currently, I'm the current president of UCO. That you guys put me in place in March because you love me. Thank you. Does anybody not know my name? My name is Fausto Fabro Maureen. Just remember that name. Okay. All right. So what we're going to start is the mission statement of UCO. What does UCO do for the village and for you, the unit owners, renters, etc.? We supply security, transportation, we take care of the roads, the cable contract, and insurance contract. And why do we do that? Because in 1999, there was an agreement signed called the Bilateral Agreement, where all the associations signed, and once it reached 75%, everybody was bound by it, and that's what we follow. So that's what gives us the authority to do that. And I know that if you have somebody that's coming into your building and they say, well, we want to get our own cable, we don't want to pay for this, they're bound by it. Once they agreed to buy in Century Village, they agreed to follow the bilateral agreement. Okay, what does the UCO office? The UCO office does, and that's why Eva's here, because WPRF does one thing, we do another. We do investigations for the association. We issue barcodes. We issue gate passes. A gate pass is different than a pass where a person gets to use the facility. Gate pass allows an individual for a period of no more than 6 months to show their ID at the guardhouse, and allows them access into the village. They can't go to the swimming pool, they're not allowed to use any of their facility, and it's really either for a contractor or a family member to come and check your apartment while you're not here. So there's a little discrepancy with that. Whereas the weekly passes or 2-week passes, that's issued by WPRF, they pay for that, and it allows them access with you, the person that's asking be with them, to go on the bus, to go at the pools, to do the use of the clubhouse. We notarize paperwork for the associations. We have people that are getting divorced. We have people that are buying property out of state and they want us to notarize it. Right now we have 4 notaries in UCO. If you need something for your building, the only thing, I personally, some people have a pension plan and they require that you go to a notary to say that you're alive and breathing. That we will do for you, because technically we're here to help you, okay? But other than that, that's what we notarize. I don't think Donald or anybody else notarizes anything else. We have a UCO website. For those of you that were here, when David was around, he created his blog. Well, that was his personal blog. So was it a year and a half ago? Almost 2 years ago, Joanne created unitedcivic.org. That's our website that belongs to UCO. Go on that website. Everything that could be put on that website, every meeting that we have is available on there. Anything that's going on in the village is basically there, and there's somewhat of interaction if you want to ask questions. Joanne monitors that, and she will respond to you, as long as the questions are within reason. We do investigations for the associations for a sale or a rental. There's some discrepancy there that, if the realtor comes in or the realtor tells you, we give that form to anybody that asks for it. If you have a sale going on. The problem becomes that once that form is filled out, if there's a realtor involved, the realtor tries to drop that off. The realtor is not allowed to drop that off. Only a board member can drop that off. And it has to be accompanied by an association check. No cash, no money orders. You guys can do, when it comes to the building, you can do what you want to do, but UCO has to have a check from your association accompanied by that. Once that paperwork is processed, go back. Why do you want to use, if you're an officer of the building, why do you want to use UCO investigations? There is if we do the investigation for you and it comes back with something that's questionable, maybe something came back that's not listed, but you're asking for an attorney's opinion, we will have our attorney review it and give you something in writing as to whether you can reject, not reject, ask questions. If you're not happy, that doesn't cost you anything. If you're not happy, you're welcome to go to your attorney for a second opinion. The value comes in if you reject someone and our attorney told you that you had the ability to reject that individual and you get sued, there's a $5,000 deductible. We will pick up that $5,000 deductible, okay? Should you get sued. And in 10 years, we've paid out 3 times, okay? So it's an added bonus for you to use us. Now, we know some people are doing it on their own. We personally don't recommend it. They're going to Seacrest. Technically, they're in violation of the bilateral agreement. We haven't really enforced it very much, but as times are changing, we're going to have to start enforcing it more and more and more. The village, is divided into quadrants. You have 4 vice presidents. Each vice president has a quadrant to take care of. If that's readily available. It's in the paper. We advertise it. If you don't know, stop by the office, and we'll give you a sheet with each building and who your vice president is. If you have an issue and you are an owner, you're welcome to come into the office and discuss it with your vice president. If your vice president is not there, ask for any vice president. They will help you out. And if we're all busy, you can always talk to Don.
If he's not on his phone.
If he's not on his phone, or he's not on the computer, or picking up garbage, or doing whatever. But we will try, we'll never turn you away. You may have to wait a couple of minutes, but we will try our best. Yes. Right. We don't physically do the investigation. We just get the paperwork, and we have an independent person that does it. Scott Roberts is the name of the person that does the investigation. What you cannot ask, or you can ask, but we're not going to answer, is for a vice president to give you legal advice. Okay. There's a fine line there. Everybody wants to avoid. We know we all hate lawyers. They all charge you too much money. But if you're asking legal advice, you're having a legal problem, we're going to tell you right off the bat, you need to speak to your attorney. That's our most famous line. Well, I only want to ask you one question. There's a person smoking downstairs and it's coming into my apartment, and I don't want that person to smoke. It's a building issue. Okay, or the dog is too big, or the dog barks, or whatever it is. Those are building issues that need to be addressed by the building. And all we can tell you is, if it's a legal problem, you're going to have to, if people want to evict somebody, if you have a renter in your building, and the landlord calls you up and says, well, I want to get rid of this person, you should not be involved. This is between the renter and the owner. If you're an officer and you feel that a renter is not the type of person that should be in your building, is affecting your quality of life, I recommend that you contact the owner, not the individual, and let them know that you will not renew the person's lease. You shouldn't have any contact with the renter, but you should have a contact with the unit owner. And it's his responsibility to notify that person. Donald gets phone calls almost every day. How do I get this person out? If you're a board member, that is not your job. Your job is to contact the owner of the apartment. That's his job. Okay. Something that's in the last couple of months has come up where people are telling that you should manage your own building. Be self-managed, you're going to save $1,400 a month and all your problems are going to go away. We don't recommend that, okay, because there are procedures that needs to be followed, and your property manager is the one that tells you to make sure that you've done everything right. They should be working on your annual meeting. They send the paperwork out, first mail and second mail. They help you with your elections, okay? If you miss a step, like I just had my annual meeting 2 weeks ago. When I got my package from my management company, the sheet to notify Sunbiz was not in there. So I've been calling my management company for 7 days and said, I need the sheet so you can notify Sunbiz, which is something that they do for your association. So make sure that you use that. They help you with your annual budget. If you have a Seacrest building or whoever it is, they're going to give you a proposed budget. Sit there, review it, look at it, check your expenses. Do not always accept what they're giving you as being correct. Check it out. Go down line by line. If you have last year's budget, compare it. There are new people, there are new management companies. Seacrest is going through some changes and they leave lines out. Personal experience, you got to check those lines, okay? You should have annual elections every year. We have paperwork, a delegates form that needs to be filled out every year that lets us know who is going to represent your buildings when we have delegate assembly, the first Friday of the month. That's who we know is in charge of that building. Filling in the Seacrest form, they do not give us that form. And that's not the form that we require. That form, once you've done your annual election, you can come into the office, front desk, see Maureen, Joyce, whoever's there, Sandy, and just ask them for a delegate's form. They will give it to you. Should be filled out. Make sure you list alternate delegates, okay? Needs a seal, corporate seal, and a signature on it. Bring it into the office, and by next month's delegate assembly, it will be updated to those people. Now, we have people that come in, there's only have 2 people on there. If you only have, usually the president, most buildings have 1 delegate. If you do not list the second person as a delegate and you can't go, your building will have no representation. So it's very important that you fill in that form and you can list as many alternate delegates as you want. That's why our form has 2 sides, front and back. But make sure that you list the second delegate. If management company will be happy to send out letters of violation. If you have somebody that's leaving stuff outside their apartment, if they're parked in the wrong parking spot, whatever the problem is, you can contact your management company and they will send out that first letter that the owner is doing something wrong. If there's no answer, then you're going to have to go to your attorney. Why do you need an attorney? We have a lot of associations that feel that they do not need an attorney. In today's world, we need attorneys. It's very important that you have an attorney. 1, for legal advice, and 2, the most important, is to update your governing documents. There are associations in here that are still dealing with the bylaws from 1973. Now, most of us updated our documents in 1999, and they're about 50% obsolete right now. So you need an attorney to go through those documents and check it out. The other is, if you're an officer of your building, there are 3 documents that you should be available to. Articles of incorporation, declaration of condominium, and your bylaws. Why is that important? So through the last 20 years, a lot of associations have updated their bylaws, but never changed the other 2 pieces of paper. Perfect example, we're a non-rental building. You changed your bylaws, you voted, you did everything right, but your attorney never changed the other 2 documents. And those documents say that you're allowed to rent, you can rent. So that's why it's very important that you keep those 3, make yourself available of those, stay on top of it, and work with your attorney to update those. Okay, any questions so far, as far as that? Good.
Foster, can you repeat that? Articles of declaration and what was it?
Right.
Articles of incorporation. Articles of incorporation.
Right.
What is it? Articles of
Right.
incorporation.
Articles of declaration.
Incorporation. Articles of incorporation.
Right, articles of incorporation, declaration of condominiums, and bylaws
Bylaws, and below that, your rules
and regulations. Right.
I have
Now, yes, John?
on, so for realtors, do you have a list, like for each association, who's renters and who's not renters, or?
We
How
have,
does a realtor know? Because we've had situations in the past month where realtors just keep bringing renters, and then when we come with another rental building, they threaten to sue us.
well, that's why I'm saying, and I know that from Dennis's building, I would check your bylaws and make sure that all 3 match.
Yeah, the bylaws say, but maybe the other 2.
The other 2 may not have, because the realtors will go back and they'll check those papers, and if those 3 don't match, then you're still a rental building, okay? But don't be afraid, you know,
Well, the 2 we told us, they go sue us, and they never came back.
yeah, well,
You know, they try to bully you up front.
yes, but the most important thing that you make yourself, if you're an officer, make yourself available of those 3 pieces of documents and make sure that they all say the same thing. The most important thing is smoking, non-rentals, and animals. Whether you're allowed to have a pet or no pet. Some people that say, well, you can have a service animal, but he can't weigh more than 10 pounds. But if the articles of incorporation and the declaration don't say that, I could come in with a horse. Okay? Right, yeah, right, you come in with a Great Dane. So make sure, if you're an officer, make sure you go through those documents. I'm gonna take a break, and I'm going to ask Eva to she'll explain to you what WPRF does and of all the good work that they do here. Hey, Eva.
Good morning. Talking about dogs, I just want to add also, you want to think about pounds, but you also want to think about breeds, because there are certain breeds that elicit fear. So that's also something else you might want to consider, that you would list the breeds you would not want to have in the building. So anyway, WPRF, good morning, welcome. And you know that we're the rec facility. So of most importance that we do for you is issuance of ID cards. And you as the board are going to let us know what you want us to issue based on the resident standing in front of you, or occupant or renter. So just wanted to touch on the fact that the WPRF ID's primary function is access to the rec facility. A secondary function has been assigned to it. People show it at the gates all the time to get in and out of the village. Additional to that, you need a WPRF in order to get your barcode for your vehicle. You need it to ride the bus. You also needed to purchase theater tickets and to also purchase guest passes. So WPRF ID is very important and prominent in your lives here. Just want to mention there's no copying or loaning. They will be confiscated. All right. Let's see. Really, that's our most important function. I have an open door policy. If you have questions, you're not sure about something, then please feel free to come by. I had also put together a sheet of definitions for your different options. A non-resident owner, or again, occupant. Sometimes you may not be sure what you should choose to give this person, so there is also some definitions that would just help you understand better what you might want to choose, again, based on what you're facing. More than that, I'd want to say just quickly, being the first village, the owners really didn't know what they were doing, so we have a very small parking lot that does not necessarily serve us well in season. We have fewer parking spaces than we do people accessing the facilities, especially on a show night, or maybe even the Friday night dance. So I always ask that people carpool, those that are close enough walk, and or you take the bus. All right, so I also wanted to say here, the reporter's just chock full of information. So if you don't make it a weekly or monthly reading habit, I would encourage it. WPRF tries to put a lot of important information in here, so there will be some that will be throughout the paper, but our editor, Ruth, had an epiphany and said, let's take the bulk of them and put them on one page. It's even something you could tear out and you could reference. So again, very important. One of the most important things is that missing IDs that are not turned in can interfere with the issuance of new IDs. So we struggle with that all the time. If you have somebody who wants to rent an apartment, rarely do we get back the rental IDs that we issue, and then that could hold up new renter IDs. So I've started suggesting to the owners that they may want to charge the renters some money that they will get back for turning in the ID cards to the owner so he could turn it into the ID office, and then we can get his unit re-rented and with no problems or issues. So always remember that if the only ID card that does not have an end date is a resident ID, everything else that's issued has an end date, expiration date. So I would say really that's about it. While I have you, you're a captive audience, I just want to say real quick, we have a lot of people with breathing issues in the advanced ages that we have here. So in coming to the clubhouse, when you know you're going to be sitting shoulder to shoulder like in the theater, we actually prohibit the use of colognes and perfumes. We get people walking in, they smell like they bathed in it before they walked through the door. And this really can trigger a very negative reaction in someone else. I have asthma, had an attack one time, and I'm trying to breathe, and then I'm hearing this horrible sound, and I realize that was me trying to get a full breath. You don't want to see someone go through that. You don't even want to hear it. It's a sound you're not going to forget. So please keep that in mind. No perfumes and colognes when you're here at the clubhouse doing anything. Let's be kind to one another and thoughtful. I don't know where we've gone lately that we just think it's all about us. So let's be a community and be caring for each other and take care of that. Okay, thanks. I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to take this lady first, and then I'll take the gentleman in the back.
Hi, I have a question concerning this, what used to be the Saturday night dance.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, why was it changed to Friday night when so many people in the community that are Jewish are not allowed to go dancing on Friday nights? That seems something that was intentionally done to leave out a major part
Absolutely not.
of the people.
Okay, so what I'm going
Can
to...
I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what was the point to that?
I have an answer for you. But what I'm also going to say is the grapevine here is alive and well, and there are a lot of rumors out there that are not based in fact whatsoever, and this is going to be one of them, and I'll tell you how this happened. For years, there's been a debate over this, okay? But we never had enough people that wanted to make the switch, so it always stayed on Saturday. But you remember when we put in a new AC system in the clubhouse. So when we got to the theater, all right, and the theater had to be shut down, we had shows that were booked and had a right to perform. The only place we could put them was in the party room, and our shows in off-season are on Saturday night. So at that time, to not lose the dance, we moved the dance to Friday night, and Saturday night, we set it up sort of like a cafe seating, and we had shows in the party room. Well, when the theater was done and it came time to change it back to Saturday night, all the people who were going on Friday night came to us and said, we love this. Now we don't have to make a choice of whether we go to the dance or we go to the theater, or that we go to the dance for an hour before we have to go to the theater, and then we only get to enjoy the dancing half an hour after we get back out. So based on request by the residents who were attending the dances, it was an overwhelming majority. Overwhelming. So we made the change. And you know what? Everything that we do, nothing is written in stone. Okay, so to me, everything is tweakable, and based on the input that we get back from the residents, we may look at something again, thought it would work a certain way, it didn't, and we'll change it back. Nobody has asked me. I shouldn't say that. I've had a person here and there, but again, overwhelmingly, people love the dance now on a Friday night and the show on a Saturday. So we've left things alone. And I have not been approached by the Jewish population that they feel that they've been left out, or that they're upset and that they thought that this was deliberate. I've not heard that at all.
I heard it. So
Okay.
I don't know why me and
It's-
not you, but I heard it.
But that is,
That's why I'm bringing, to me, it doesn't matter.
yes, but what you heard was that some people out there thought it was done deliberately as a slap against the Jewish people. That is not true at all. It all came from when the theater closed and we moved shows into the party room for Saturdays, that the dance was moved to Fridays, and then they asked us to leave it on Fridays, and so we did. So there is no anti-Semitism, there is no prejudice involved in this. So now that you all know that and you've heard this, please share that with the people that you heard this from, because I don't like rumors, and usually there's a very
Well, I
nasty
haven't
slant
heard
to them.
you.
Yeah,
Evidently, they haven't contacted you.
No, no.
they have not.
Okay.
Okay, and the gentleman in the back.
Good morning, Eva. Thank you for your time this morning.
Yes.
I've never noticed an entry sign here at the clubhouse that says this meeting today, this room, or go here, a directory of the day. Is there such a thing?
There is such a thing, and it's at the security desk. All you have to do is ask them where you're going, and they have it. They'll tell you what room, what time.
My suggestion is it be something posted
We don't,
on a sign. A lot of places, facilities I go to
Right.
have televisions, nice upscale places. You walk in, you see it, and
it is on your in-house channel, but the problem also is that we get changes sometimes almost daily, so we're constantly changing them out.
yeah. If it's
So-
on television, it could be updated.
It could.
Hi, Eva, if you don't mind, I'd like to
Absolutely, Don.
continue on this. Good morning, Mr. Borsos, how are you? As far as the announcing and placement of this meeting, this is a UCO meeting, and community media is the responsibility of UCO. This meeting is advertised in my report, in our community newspaper, the UCO Reporter, on our community television channel, Channel 590, Channel 591, and also here at the front desk at the clubhouse. So there's no secret about this meeting. As a matter of fact, we want as many people to know about it as possible.
No, my question isn't that it's a secret, just to assist people. A lot of places I go to, I'm sure you have too, clubhouses, so forth, country clubs. There's a television, and it lists things that, oh, which way do I go? Which way do I go? You walk in, you see. So it's not about it being a secret, but to be assisting people walking in.
So when you come in, Mr. and Ms. Borsos, it's not out of the realm of possibility that
Okay.
we could have a monitor, and that would be
Yes, sir.
under the purview of the operations committee. It's a budgeted item. But your first stop, anytime you come into our clubhouse, is the reception desk where you show your ID, and literally right in front of you is a directory of where all today's meetings are.
On a sheet that they have.
Yes,
Yes, right there.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
There's a T sign right at the front desk listing all the events that are going on every single day. And it lists the classroom that it's in. As soon as you come in, it'll be on the left-hand side as you're facing the guards. When we're done, you can go out there and look,
Okay.
you'll see.
Yeah.
You know what a
Okay.
T sign is? That's one of those plastic envelopes
Right,
that sits on the table and it lists every single event that's going on today at the clubhouse and what room and what time.
Yeah, Mr. Foster, that's what I'm talking about. It was just never that apparent to me before.
Okay.
Okay.
It's there, but.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
When I was here in November, I'm just back, so I don't, there was no, we used to have Wi-Fi access at the pools. Has that been reinstated?
Yes, it's there. Yes. You have it. If you're having a problem, you might want to come in and we can maybe help to see why you're not hooking up, but we have Wi-Fi at all the pools.
Okay,
I'm hooked
thank
up
you.
to it right now.
Okay.
Okay? Anybody else have anything? Well, then I thank you and I wish you a great day.
Okay, good. Well, I'm gonna take a little step back. Point of education. When COVID came, for those of you that were renters or officers, we used to come into the office and we would give you a blank certificate of occupancy that you filled in and then gave it to the renter or the potential buyer, and they used that to get an ID. We've changed that because, one, COVID is over to a degree, and two, the system was being abused. So for those of you that are officers, you have 3 pieces of paper. One is an occupant, and an occupant is a person who is not on the deed and is not on a lease. Could be a social worker, could be a caretaker, could be a child that comes in to take care of a parent, whoever it is. That's an occupant. If you have a person that comes in, we have a form available. You come to the UCO office, give it to the owner. The owner must ask the board for approval to have Mr. Jimmy Jones to be living in Unit 101 from day to this day to this day. With that, the officer, 2 officers sign it, put a corporate seal on it, and you come to the UCO office and we will type up a certificate of occupancy. That's 1. 2, if a person has a lease, if you're a renter, 30 days before your lease expires, it is up to you to get a new lease and bring it to the officers. Don't go the day before your lease expires. Make sure that you go and give them at least a month with the new lease, the end date, start date, end date, give it to the officers. The officers will come to UCO and we will get you an extension of occupancy. And the third and final is if you are an owner. If you are an owner, there's a certificate of occupancy that needs to be notarized by someone. Like I said, we have 4 notaries at UCO right now. You need 2 officers' signature of the association and your corporate seal. Please do not sign the form before you come in. Please, if you have 2 people, but only 1 person can come down, don't have that person sign it because we're not going to notarize it. The whole purpose of going to a notary is that 2 live bodies came and signed this paper in front of me. That's what I'm swearing to. So I will not authorize, and I don't think Donald or Jerry or anybody will authorize anything with only 1 individual there. Now, yes,
Do you need an investigation on an occupant?
Yes.
yes. I mean, we tell everybody should be investigated. If the board determines, if it's a son of an owner that's coming in to take care of his mother on and off 2 or 3 times a week, and you choose to let that person live in your building for that period of time, that's great. Okay? You don't need to have it done. You should really have everybody investigated that stays in your building. Yeah.
On occupants are not owners, so it's a criminal-only investigation, no finances. Same for renters.
Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that. COAs, we need to have the proper information on that or it will be kicked back. So what I wanted to mention is you cannot write in a name and then white it out and write over it. Okay, so we will not accept anything that has white out on it. you have to have 2 signatures, and those 2 board member signatures cannot live in the same unit. Okay, that's like having 1 vote, right, per unit. Now you've got 2 people weighing in. What about the other board members? Are they aware of what's happening? Thirdly, absolutely have to have the building seal, and then we also need a start and an end date. Because again, when you're issuing for occupant or renter, there is a start and an end date. So without those things, we're gonna be kicking you back, paperwork back, and then you're gonna have to make an extra effort, so, just so you know. Okay? Yes?
Question. In a situation when the all board members are not here in Florida, to go in person to the UCO office and sign that certificate of occupancy, for a new owner, who, we have processed all the paperwork, what happens then?
You wanna take that, Fausto?
Sure. If you have no officers at all, then you contact your management company.
Or just one office?
Then 1 officer in a management company. Sometimes they'll charge you to come down, sometimes they won't, it's strictly up to them. But they will not accept anything with only 1 signature on it.
What about just the office manager?
No, we would need the manager could stand in for a board member in a pinch for a signature. But if the manager signs it, you should also get a signature from one other board member.
Okay.
What I would request is that if you get a management member to sign, that next to their name, they should indicate, a manager, that they should indicate that it's Seacrest or whatever the company is, because we always look up names to make sure that the signatures we're looking at from a board member, that they are on Sunbiz. So we're certainly not gonna find, Seacrest manager there, so we need to know that that is a Seacrest signature.
One more
Actually, you
question.
will find.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay.
The board member does not have to be an officer, it can be any, a director.
Correct, a director.
Yeah. It's anyone that sits on your board.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Eva, WPRF? Okay, we'll save it for the end. All right. Now we told you what we do, WPRF told you what they do. Now we're going to what your responsibilities are. You need to have the board of directors. You need to fulfill your obligation of what's in your bylaws. Some say 5, some say 7, some say 12, whatever it is, whatever's on there, that's how many people should be on your board. You should have annual elections. Imperative that you have elections. You'd be surprised, we have paperwork, like we said, paperwork that we have not had an update in 8 years, 7 years. It's the same people. And then we call them who's dead, who's in a nursing home, who doesn't live there anymore. It's amazing. You have to fill in that form. Like I said, Seacrest does their form, they update Sunbiz, but we need to be updated of who the officers are. You have to maintain your building. Now, whether you are just a resident or you're a board member, you should walk around your building, check your building, make sure that it's in good shape. And if you are a renter and you walk around and you see a piece of ceiling falling down or something, notify one of the board members and say, hey, listen, be proud of where you live. Work with your management company. They should be coming around. They should be checking your building with you. I know that things have stretched out. Years ago, it used to be once a month with Seacrest, then it went quarterly. Now they come every 6 months. But if you walk around the building and you see something, contact your manager and say, listen, I think I have an issue. Come in, my soffit is falling down. They will come. They will come. And if for some reason you're a board member and your management company is not working with you or they're not responding, guess who you're going to talk to? Donald. Donald has a pipeline to everybody at Seacrest or Pruitt. He will get somebody there in case of an emergency. Okay? Don't call him because the door's not locked. Call him in case of an emergency. Right, Donald?
Yeah.
Okay. It's your responsibility if you're an officer to process the paperwork for sales or rentals. I know that we're getting older and we have a lot of associations where there's nobody there, and they tell either the realtor or the renter or the potential owner, they say, well, bring it to Yuko and they'll take it in. We will not take it. A board member has to drop it off, a board member has to sign it. We ask that you, because you're the ones that you are our clients. You are the people that you're requesting to pull an investigation report, and you give us a phone. We check on Sunbiz to make sure that you are who you say you are, and you're the person that we're going to call once that paperwork is done. Do not send a realtor, please. Or, I mean, I can't tell you how many people come. Well, I'm the potential buyer and they told me to drop off the paperwork because the realtor's too busy. He's making the commission. You make him drop off the paperwork to you. That's, that's it. All members should be certified. If you are going to be on the board, as of July 1st, 2024, you now need a 4-hour class to be certified. The old classes were an hour and a half, 3 hours, now it's 4 hours. Right now that I'm aware of, the next certification class is at the Expo Center, is February the 11th. And I understand that maybe you'll have one on February the 10th?
Yeah, there's a tentative date for February 10th, but wait for the announcement on that.
Okay.
There was a little bit of,
Right.
Even there was a little bit of back and forth on that, right?
I'm sorry?
The February 10th date for Mark, that's,
We have, he has not confirmed with us. He's kind of left it open-ended and we're still waiting to hear back.
pencil in February 10th for 9 a.m. And as soon as we get final, here.
Yeah, that would be here.
Theater.
Right.
And we'll make sure everybody knows about it.
Okay. So they require, once you've done the 4-hour certification class, that is good as long as you remain on the board for at least 5 years, 6 years. But there will be a 1-hour update to follow thereafter, to bring it to the most current rules, regulations, bylaws. I know that some people say that's a burden. If you're an HOA, you must do, thank God we're a COA, but if you're an HOA, you have to do 4 hours every year. So you're saving time and effort. Right, and if you're a board member, it is your responsibility to complete the course and have that certificate of everybody that's on your board. File it, keep it there, so. You should make sure that your association is represented at delegate assembly every first Friday of every month. That's your pipeline as to what's going on. Make sure you have a representative, make sure that you're there, make sure you fill in your delegates form. And when we have an election or major things are going up, we do advertise it, we do let you know. Make sure you're there. I mean, I've never seen, we have 349 delegates, I've never seen more than 225 come for anything. Okay? So it is very important that you be represented. Every officer in your building should have a copy or a phone number of every single unit owner in your building in case there is an emergency, in case you have a problem. Okay? A lot of people, if you have a Seacrest building, Patricia started this a few years ago, she contacts Seacrest usually November or December and asks them to give her a current list of everybody that's in our building. Some people change, they have a different name, different address, but that should be readily available to the board. You should be going into the apartments. Board members should be checking. For those of you that are officers, you saw Donald's report where there was a water leak and the actual grass started growing in the apartment on the first floor because nobody had been in there for what, 7 years?
No, more than 10 years.
Almost 10 years. Okay? Nobody came, nobody looked at it, so it's a very nice picture. There was a nice carpet there that had 6 inches of grass. You needed a lawnmower to go through
You
it.
had water and just enough sunlight coming in. It was becoming a prairie.
So there's a reason why we tell you this. Corporate seal everybody thinks that's like God's gift to humanity, okay? Corporate seals should not be more than 40 miles from the association, okay? We have people here that sit on the board, whether you're a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, they leave the state and they take that seal with them, okay? That prevents your building from doing business. You're required to have that seal, should be there. Should you run, or if you have a change, something new it's coming about, you have a transition, you have a new board coming in, and the secretary says, no, it's my seal, you can't have my seal, to try to prevent things from happening. You go on Amazon, you go to the Office Depot, you can order a new seal. Very, very, it's about $20, $25?
Yeah.
$25.
$19.95.
Okay, you can order a new seal for your building, so you can continue to do business. If your corporate, even if you want a certificate of occupancy, if it doesn't have your corporate seal, WPRF will not issue an ID. So you gotta have that there. You gotta make sure that it's in your building. So for those of you that are officers or planning to be officers, go back to your building and say, listen, I need to make sure that the seal is here. Don't take it home. When you have a new owner or a new renter, please notify them that we have lines of communications that was discussed. The most important is the UCO reporter that comes out once a month. There's a lot of things in there, like Eva said, things that are going on. You can cut it out, put it on your refrigerator. Tells you what movies you have going on. It tells you what shows you have going on. Let the new owner, new renter, make them available of that. If for some reason you're not getting the UCO reporter, every once in a while we get that building says we never got any, notify Donald. UCOmaintenance@gmail.com and say we did not receive any UCO reporters. And we'll make sure that you get there. You have 3 TV stations, 590, 591, and 592. 590 lists every single meeting that's going on, every event that's going on a regular basis. It is updated almost daily. Anything that's going on at the clubhouse, for those of you that were here a little while ago, the elevator went down in this building. Eva contacted us, and within an hour, Joanne had it up on the TV station that there was no elevator in the building. So let your new owners, let your renters be availed to that information is there. You'd be surprised how many people come in and say, we don't know what's going on. It's available. Yes?
I just wanted to add, since we're talking about sources of information, WPRF puts out a new owner packet.
Right.
All right, so ID office is supposed to give them out. If you didn't get one, or you've misplaced it and you want to have it as the board, you know, all you have to do is come in and request it. We'll give you another one. And UCO also gives us their insert so we can have everything all together for you. Also, vitally important, lots of information that's there for you.
Yeah, that's a good thing. If you have a new resident coming in, and we just had somebody purchasing our building, we spoke to them yesterday, and we gave them a newcomer's package, okay? There's a lot of things in there, rules, regulations, bylaws, whatever you want to put in that package, okay? But basically, it's we do this together with WPRF and UCO. We put the package together. There's what WPRF's avail and what UCO does. It's in a binder. Very good. It's available to you. If you're an officer and you want to get a copy to bring, stop by the office or stop by Eva's office and we'll be more than happy to give you one. We also have a community website. We already said that before. So if you don't want to read and you just want to look at pictures, you go on your computer on the community website and you have whatever's going on available. And Joanne, like I said, takes care of that. Next thing, if you're going, whether you're a resident, an owner, or an officer, there should be no work done in your building unless the person is licensed and insured. Now, there are things that you can do without getting a building permit, and there are things that require a building permit. But everybody that does business in your building should be licensed and insured. Does everybody understand why? Uh-oh. Okay, I'm on the second floor, I'm a plumber, and I put a new sink in for you, and there's a water leak after I leave, and I'm a handyman, I don't have a license and I'm not insured, and he damages a couple of $1,000s worth of damage to your building. Are you gonna go after that guy? You're not?
Try.
Okay, so, but if he's licensed and insured, you're going to have a copy of his license and insurance, and you could say, look, you created damage to my building. Also, for those of you that are doing major work in the apartments, make sure that there are different things that can be done. If you're taking a cabinet out, putting a cabinet in, or a sink in and out, once you redesign the kitchen, you need plans, you need license, insurance, you need all that information. Some require the entire building to agree to that. But everybody wants an open floor plan, everybody wants to remove a wall. Those walls belong to the association, not to the individual unit owner. So if I want to open up the wall, I want to remove it, I have to ask for the board's permission. Now you have to check with your bylaws, and in your bylaws, some buildings require 51%, some require 2/3, some require 75% unit vote, and there are some associations that to remove a major component require 100% vote of every single unit owner. So, be aware of that. I mean, if you don't know what your bylaws say, make sure that you find out. Yes?
On something like that, wouldn't you still need like an inspector, like a government inspector or town inspector?
True, yeah, but that's above and beyond.
On top of the board.
On top of the
Right,
board.
you still need to go get
Yeah.
that.
The big thing today is, I'll give you an example, in Greenbrier B, somebody went to the president and said, here, I got a building permit to replace my kitchen sink. She went away on Friday, came back on Monday, and the apartment was good. There was no walls. I stripped out the apartment. He goes, well, I got a building permit. The building permit was to do a specific thing. That's why it's up to the board. If you're gonna remove a wall, you need engineering report, you need plans, just to get a building permit is not enough. Yes, go ahead, David.
So this is a common thing. Just because a unit owner pulls a permit to do work, it doesn't mean that they have clearance to begin the work unless it's been approved in advance and in writing by your board. Don't give up that right. You still want to control what's going on. You can say no to certain things that even though it's permitted. The board gets together and makes a decision, talks to their attorney. Don't give up that control. You want to know what's going on in these apartments, and you want to make sure that your unit owners know to give you the courtesy of letting them know beforehand. All right?
When you're having major work done and you're a board member, when you get that certificate of occupancy, 3/4 of the way down, there's a big box and it says additional insured. It's very important that the unit owner that's having the work done and the building's name is in that box. Okay? Because that's what covers you. If you're not sure, talk to your property manager, come into the UCO office, we'll help you go over it, Donna will go over it. We'll make sure. The other thing that we found, that people are bringing that form and they're eliminating workman's comp. They're checking that they don't have workman's comp. Well, if that person gets hurt, guess who's responsible? You are. So they have a lot of tricks. Go ahead.
This is a common thing. If I am a sole proprietor, I can check off exempt from workers' comp, and I do for myself. But very rarely does a tradesman work alone. They usually have casual helpers. Those casual helpers need to be covered by their workers' comp. If they're not checking that, if they're checking that box exempt, it means they're sloughing off the coverage onto your association, which means that's why they were able to bid lower for the job. You don't want that. Let it be on them.
The other thing, I've had contractors say, oh, it cost me to get my insurance cost them absolutely nothing. It's a cost of doing business. They know, the brokers know that they need that form. It's at no cost to that person. Okay. The other thing, whether you're an owner, renter, whatever, when a new person comes in, You gotta tell them what a common element of the building is. People wanna put flower pots, they wanna put chairs outside their apartments, they wanna put ramps, they wanna put mats outside. It's all a no-no, it's a common element of the building. Okay? So make them aware of it. It's amazing how many, nobody ever told me I can't do this, nobody ever told me. Make yourself aware of it. And if you don't know, come into the office, we'll discuss it with you. We'll let you know. This is what, yes, Maureen, go ahead.
Go ahead, finish.
No, I'm just gonna say that you, if you're on the board, you're not here alone. We're here to help you. It's a growing process. We learn something new every day, the way legislation and new laws come into effect every 6 months, every 12 months. You have to do it. You gotta stay on top of it, and that's what we're here for. Go ahead, Maureen.
You replacing new AC units in individual buildings, like central air units,
Right.
now being done, the owner says, oh, you need a new air conditioner, it costs the company, they come, they put it in before the board even knows about it.
Well, are you talking through the wall unit or one of those
Talking
other?
about the AC central air units.
So corny.
The ones that they're removing, they're through the wall and they're installing an outside unit. That's what you're talking
No,
about.
not
Central
inside
air.
one,
The
not
corny
the
units,
one
that's
that
central air.
If you have a central air and it's on your roof or outside,
Right,
That's-
that's that one.
you don't need anybody to tell you that.
All right, so Maureen, you live in a two-story garden apartment, and there's a difference. So specific to you, putting in replacing a failed condenser unit would be considered an emergency. It's one of the things that the county doesn't require them to get a permit for beforehand. However, they have to get inspection after the fact, right? Because if it's 99 degrees out, you don't want the people to not have air conditioning. That doesn't mean that you as a board shouldn't be contacted as well, but you guys should not dilly-dally with that. You want to look at make sure it's done by a licensed contractor, and pretty much say okay as long as you see that, because you don't want to hold that up. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that you need to look at, and the reason you want them to use a licensed contractor is there's a formula for how big the condenser unit needs to be. So you and I will just say, let's get the biggest one, make my house a refrigerator, right? But that's not correct. If you put in too big a condenser unit for the the cubic footage of the apartment, you could be creating an over-condensing situation where you're creating dampness, and that's gonna cause mold, and that affects everybody. So yeah, that's one of the things that, they're just gonna do it, but you do need to know what's going on and make sure that you're getting it's being done correctly, okay?
Touching that, hold on a second. If you have someone that does not have central air, and they have through-the-wall unit, and they want to put in one of those Mitsubishis or whatever, split system, that requires them to come to the board and ask for approval, and that's where you want permits, you want everything pulled. Okay? That you do have control of. Okay?
Now, in the other buildings, some of you live in the mid-rise, the mid-rise buildings over 2 stories. In most cases, this equipment is up on the roof, so you definitely need to get with the association if you're going to do any work there. Some of the roofs here in Century Village are what's called TPO roof, which is like a plastic sheet over the roof, and it needs to be. You need to watch these guys when they're working on that roof. You got to make sure they're not dropping tools or screws, making holes in that. So that is the board will want to be involved in that. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a situation where it's an inside unit, okay? The owner hire a licensed installer, and the installer file a replacement of the AC with the county, a permit, solicit a permit just for replacement. So, and my understanding is that a replacement is not necessarily going to be inspected by the county after the completion of it.
It should be.
If they get a permit, it's going to be inspected.
Well, I been told that it's a random thing, not necessarily they come and inspect it.
It shouldn't be random. If there hasn't been an inspection, and you can check that in the inspection history with the permit, you call the county and say, get down there and inspect it. You want to make sure that the equipment is correctly sized to the unit. That's kind of important.
Right, but in this situation specifically, I was not a replacement, it was a brand new everything.
Yeah.
Electrical, everything, connection, because it was an inside unit without central air. So they went through the attic.
All right, so what you're talking about is an inside unit with through-the-wall air conditioners that are converting to the split system, which is another form of central air conditioning.
Right, but the
You
point that-
100% will need to approve this as a board, because what you're describing is a significant alteration to the common element. You may have to actually get a membership vote on that. I'm going to be doing that conversion in my own 1-1. I'm an inside unit. I'm going to have to get approval from 18 of my unit owners to do it. There's another issue on the second floor units particularly, and I've seen this, where the unit owner converted. They put the condenser unit on the ground, and then they ran a raceway up the side of the building. Problem number one, they bolted something to the side of the building, didn't get permission. Problem number two is they ran the condenser pipe and the fluid pipes through the attic.
Yes.
And then dropped it down to two air conditioning units in a unit. It's a 1-1. The problem with that is that you're running those cold pipes through an attic that gets very hot, and with the hot and the cold together, they had condensation on the pipes, and they had a water stain going straight down the unit. So they had to rip it out and do it from scratch. So that's, and by the way, it wasn't done by a licensed contractor, it was some guy. So this is something new, where you're converting these inefficient through-wall units to a more efficient and quieter split system. But that's not an emergency, right? That's an alteration, and you got to go to your property manager and your attorney and do it the correct way, probably with a membership vote. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
So on the splits, if everybody, say everybody died, you'd have a ton of splits along the ground. outside.
Yes, and that's on common element. So you
And
got.
then you'd have to fill a hole in from the one they took out?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah,
would be-
oh yeah, I mean, that's carpentry, that's not a big deal, right?
Well, yeah, carpentry, and you have to blast.
But this is all involving common elements, so the board and probably the membership has to be involved too. Now,
Crazy little splits then.
in my case, there's a little area between the back door of my lanai and the back door of my neighbor's lanai, and it's just big enough that I could drop the pre-made slab and put it on there. It won't bother anybody. But you're right, what if everybody wants it?
Yeah.
There are units, there are buildings here that have no central airs, they're only through the walls. There's also where you hang I had one in Kingswood where the people put the condenser unit on their lanai. And that actually was a code violation, and they weren't allowed to do that, because there's not enough air for the thing to breathe. So, it's just something new we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I never thought about it.
Another issue that I come up with quite a bit with air conditioners is that even if you do a like-for-like swap out of the condenser units, the new condenser units are larger because they need to be more energy efficient, like Energy Star, and two of them don't fit in the alcove. So what they do is they drop a prefabricated slab in front of it and do it flat, which is probably okay, but again, now you're dropping something on common element. You gotta have a meeting on this, and you know, I can't imagine I don't know what the solution would be other than to allow that, but that's just something new we're dealing with.
Yeah, I would think you two would do your wiring, like we've learned, right? With
Sure,
a lot
that
of
electrical
wiring
work,
gets
that's gotta be
fucked up, and
inspected.
You might need new wiring.
Yes, and in my case, I will have to do some permanent electrical work to make this happen. There is a unit that's put out by Frederick that doesn't require hard wiring. It plugs right into the wall like a regular appliance. That's the only one I know of. It runs on 110.
Yeah.
Limited common element. Everybody knows what that is? That's your patio, your porch. It is not owned by the individual, it is owned by the association, but the individual that's in that apartment has the use of it. We had somebody that just came in yesterday, or the day before, that there's a crack in the wall inside. The responsibility of the association. Okay? So, but make sure that if you have a new owner or a new renter and he wants to do anything in there, make sure that you tell him you don't own it. It belongs to the building. You're limited to what you can do to it. Everybody wants to take out the windows, take out the screens, they want to enclose it. You need permission from the board to do that. Okay? Okay. The Corporate Transparency Act was something that needed to be filed. They extended it to July 1st. It was put on hold, it was reinstituted, and it's back on hold again. If you have not done it, if you have not filed with your management company, Seacrest charges $150. I still recommend that you do it because it's still on there. Sooner or later, it's going to come back. And it's basically where you're notifying the Treasury Department of who's in charge of your building money-wise. That's what they're looking for. Okay? Yes?
For the Transparency Act, I just wrote in the paper that it need to be voted on it, on the, in the Wall Street Journal. I had cut it out because it's on federal base.
Right.
That's where they had to vote on it, and
Well, it was instituted, then suspended.
But now it's suspended again.
That's what I just said. But my recommendation is to do it. If you haven't done it, do it, because I'm sure it's going to come back again.
And right now it looks like, that's what the paper says, it looks like that it will be eliminated.
Well, it's up to you, you know, go ahead.
On this filing, this BOI filing, there are certain people here in the village that are advocating, do it yourself. Don't pay the $150 to Seacrest or Victory Accounting or whatever it is. I don't recommend this, and this is why. First thing is, if you do it wrong, there's penalties, and I don't like the look of them. They even says jail time or some crazy nonsense. But more importantly, if me, the president of Chatham, wants to do the filing, I have to create an account with the federal government in my own name. So what happens next year? So you have to, this filing's good forever unless there's a change on the board. And there's a change on the board every year, and you have to do another filing. So if I do the filing, create the account, and then I, pack up and leave, run away, which could happen, the board won't be able to do the filing again because they'll need to do it under my name and my password, and I'm gone. So if you let your management company or your accounting firm do the filing, they'll have the account, and that will survive changes in the board. So that's the only problems I see with self-filing. It's not real hard to do, but I don't. I've done 5 filings for this and that, and in all cases, either Seacrest Accounting did it for me or an accounting firm did it for me. And in Yuko's case, our contract accountant did it for us.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Right now, the understanding is that that has been suspended, it's not required.
It is suspended.
Right. Currently, it's suspended, but it was suspended before and then instituted again, and then they suspended it again.
But if an association already filed, and there is a change on the board, what happens?
You have to do it over.
Me personally, I would just do the amended filing. It's because this turns out it's some kind of political basketball going back and forth. So who knows what's going to happen? Just do it, get it out of the way, and you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Just remember, you're not dealing with the state, you're dealing with the federal government.
There's a reason why people say don't make a federal case out of this,
Right.
and this is what this is.
It's easier to file than not to file unless it's completely repealed. The last item that I have, if anybody here has 25 units or more, they are now required to have a website. So everybody that has 25 units or more, you have until December of next year, January 1st of 2026, to have a website that's available to every single unit owner. Listed on that website should be your articles of incorporation, your bylaws, documents, any meetings that you had, all your financials, any paperwork that could be requested from an individual or from a realtor, or usually it would be an owner that's requesting financials, or a person that, I'm a new owner. In the past, associations have said, well, I want a copy of the bylaws. Well, I'm gonna charge you $20 because I gotta make copies, or I don't have them. So now you have to put them on that website. My suggestion, if you've got less than 25 units, you should do it anyway. Because you have, sooner or later, you're going to have to give somebody those documents and make them available. So it's a lot easier to say, this is a website, this is how you go on, you request, and you can have a year's financials on there and you can see it. It would make your life a lot easier. Some of the things that we hear, well, we had one person that was president for 10 years, treasurer was there for 10 years, now they're gone, and we don't have any paperwork. If it's on the computer, it can't get lost. So it's to make your life easier. Yes, John?
If we hire a management company that's doing that for us, which we did,
Yeah,
down the road, if we got rid of that management company, do they own that portal website? Or
No,
we
you
own
do.
that? So
You
once
do.
they create it for us, it's
right.
ours.
Yeah.
Once it's created, it's your domain.
Ours.
Yeah, it's yours to do. But that's a good question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know if, they'll say, don't pull it.
Okay.
All right, that's good.
So now it's time for you guys to ask us questions. Yes?
About where the sidewalk meets the blacktop coming out from a building. Over the years, the blacktop has been raised above the end of the sidewalk. Is it the association's responsibility to build up the sidewalk, or should the blacktop be sloped down?
Two answers to your question. First, yes, association responsibility. B, there's more than one way to address that. One is by milling. You can have your contractor come in and just mill down the blacktop, and just to make it a smooth and not a big drop. What you don't want is what I call a toe kick, something that could pick up the front of a shoe and send the person flying. This is not it's not a difficult thing to do. It won't be expensive. I've seen it done in a lot of my own buildings, as a matter of fact, just milling. Also, where you have those little differentials, a little bit of slope, yellow traffic paint. Seacrest will just paint both sides and make a bar. That pretty much will cover you.
Why should it be the association's responsibility?
It's on association property. UCO has responsibility for maintaining the through streets of Century Village, the streets, but parking areas and walkways on association property is association responsibility. As you can imagine, this question comes up every year, several times. So.
Yes, go ahead.
Similar to this question, does someone know the answer to this? Whose responsibility would it be to have red striping around the fire hydrants on the Century Village property?
Palm Beach County Water Utilities.
Oh, I've noticed there's a lack of that, so one would contact the water utilities to stripe.
Correct. They own the potable water system here in Century Village was originally owned by the developer. Some years ago, the system, including the hydrants, were sold to Palm Beach County Water Utilities, and they're responsible for maintaining it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, John?
On the certificates, the board should have originals, not copies of. Can you have a copy of the certificate?
You want to give the original to the unit owner or the renter, and you keep a copy for your records. But Eva wants to see the original.
I was just wondering if sometimes a copy they could be kind of doctored.
Exactly. Eva wants.
For the board, how do we know?
Well, you're going to be issuing this the certificate of approval. That's what we're talking about, right?
The ones when you take the class to the board members, You know where you get that
Oh.
certified
Oh,
certificate?
yeah.
Okay,
You
yes.
need the original in the file.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, you could do that.
I mean,
You
I
could
think
either,
if
you
you
could
wanted to
either
have
keep
this
a copy there, or you keep the original and give the association a
But it's not a
copy.
strict law, whether we have to tell everybody who wants the original, and
No.
then you can't.
There have been a couple of instances where board members have come to my office and said, I think this guy just dummied it up and signed it and sent it to me. You should be able to verify the certificate through DVPR. Your property manager can help you with that.
You call it and verify.
It's like a driver's license. You call DMV and you verify, is this real?
What was the place we have to?
It's called DBPR, the Department of Business and Professional Regulation.
Okay.
That's the state agency that issues these certificates and governs condominium
So they'll
law.
direct that person out to pay the business plan.
Yeah, and I've not done that yet, so I can't even tell you, how to do it, but that's where you start.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have a question about this certificate of occupancy.
Yes.
We have someone coming in and Yuko typed it up. She has residence from February 1st, 2025 to January 31st, 2025.
Can't be more than 1 year.
No, she has it, it expires the day before she gets it.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
No, it should be
Oh, if it's a typo,
2026.
bring it in, I'll
So I
make
have
you another one.
I have to get a new one then. I can't just change the 5 to a 6 on,
And it probably was me, I'm the one that makes that mistake most often at the office, so,
I don't know, I just.
But yeah, it should be, let's say it's January 1st, 2025.
It was February
It would be a
1st.
day before, the end date would be a day before.
Right, but the end date is actually, instead of being 26, it's 2025, so it expires the day
Yeah.
before it's issued.
Like I said, the biggest offender of that is me. Just bring it in, I'll make you
So I
a
do
new
have
one.
to make a new one
Yep.
and get new signatures,
Now,
okay.
if you find a mistake before, once she gets done, please read it. Sometimes the girls make a mistake, or
Yeah.
whoever's there, Donald makes a mistake. The other thing that we're finding, that people are coming in and they're requesting extension of occupancy. That would be for a renter,
Right.
okay?
Well, this is for a renter.
We've
yeah.
had people that have come in and they were given an occupancy form rather than an extension, okay? So check the form, if you read it on the top, it's very simple, it's either one or the other, just so you know you gave me the wrong one. It hasn't happened very often, but we've caught a couple that have been done that way,
Okay,
okay?
all right, thank you.
All right? Questions? For those of you that don't know, the other vice president is Jerry Satowski. He just came in to join us. So, hi Jerry, you feeling better today?
A little bit.
Okay. Questions? Yes?
One question, I'm sorry.
No, that's what you're here for.
On when you boys, we're new to our unit. Can we both run for our board of directors? Like, we're getting told like only one person out of.
in a unit,
Okay, so you and by the way, married has nothing to do with this. It has to do with two owners of the same unit. You both can't run for the board. However, if there is a vacant seat at the time of the election, the new board, can appoint a spouse to fill a position. In my association, I'm the president and my wife is the secretary. But if we get 6 intents this year instead of 5, one of us will drop off, probably me.
Because I read the bylaws of ours and I didn't see it in there. I could have missed it, but.
Now,
I know everybody keeps telling me.
that's a statute thing.
Oh,
That's a law thing. What I do advise people is that, all right, so I'm president and secretary. I have the pen, my wife has the seal. But the treasurer, who has the checkbook, is in Quebec or in her apartment. You don't want the checkbook and the pen to be in the same unit. So president, secretary, great. Secretary, treasurer, great, but not president, treasurer.
And I can still be a delegate.
That's not a good, it's not illegal, but it's not a good look.
Anybody can be a delegate, as long as they're on the form.
Yeah.
Anybody, you don't have to be an officer. You can be a board member or an individual. Some people don't have any offices there, so they delegate to somebody that's an owner to come in and be a delegate. Yes?
No, you answered my question.
Okay. Come on, guys. Yes?
We have a board member who is ill and and is a snowbird, secretary of the board. How do we handle, can we bring on somebody to the board to replace that person?
Yes.
Without having that person resign?
No, definitely. The way this works is, you have your annual meeting. When each of you puts in your intent to run, you're running not to be a particular president or secretary, you're running to be a director, period. Typically right after your annual meeting, but up to 10 days afterwards, you have what's called an organizational meeting. And at that meeting, the new board decides who will be president, who will be vice president, secretary, treasurer, plain old director, right? At any time during the year, you can have another organizational meeting if you need to, or if you want to. Organizational meetings can be called by the president, or B, a quorum of the board, right? And there's reasons for this, and this is one of them. The person can't do the job anymore. So you call Shawna, you do a 48-hour notice, and then you have an organizational meeting, and amongst your own number, you select a new secretary. If you have a vacancy on the board, that's something different. You have a board meeting, and then you appoint one of your members to fill the vacancy.
So we don't have to ask her to resign from the...
No. What would happen is she would continue to be a director, but she will no longer be the secretary. The officers, those are just jobs that are assigned to particular directors, and that can be juggled around. Sometimes people get sick. Sometimes somebody just sucks at the job, and you just need to make a change. So you do, and you do it civilly. That's the way to do it without hurting people's feelings.
And there are times where we hear, well, the secretary or the treasurer, they're in bed, they're on their deathbed, and we can't do anything. They need to be replaced, You don't have to get them to, if the guy's on his deathbed and he's been treasurer for 50 years, you don't want to put the spike in his heart. You just, say, we need somebody to fill your spot in, Okay, yes, sir.
I'm a walker, and I notice from time to time with cyclists, in some instances you have a electric bike, and it's coming from your back. They don't ring a bell, you don't hear it, and God forbid you have to make a move. If they hit you, it's going to be a very bad accident. It's anything. I know you can't control which way they come, it's understandable. But if anything that can be done, so at least,
Be cautious.
When I used to cycle in my neighborhood in New Jersey, on the street, every time I went by somebody, I said, on your left, on your right. Well, you ring a little bell to let the person know. You might find a little squirrel or something
electric
to move
bicycle.
right away. I've seen electric bikes that with a wheel this thick,
Yeah.
and they're coming right down to you. And the guy is over 6 feet. If he hits me, I fall by myself. You don't have to push me.
Yeah.
I'm 75. If he hits me from the back, forget it.
All right, so
You don't have to pick me up.
there's a couple of things here. Number one, when this place was laid out
Right.
in 1966, there was no such thing as electric scooters or electric bicycles. They just weren't encompassed. So we do have an issue with where does a scooter belong, in the street or on the walkway. Problem with the mobility scooters are, if someone's using one, you can assume that they have some sort of infirmity or handicap. So we need to be careful and not get into that. As far as the electric vehicles, and I see them, they're as fast as cars. If they're in the street, they're subject to the same traffic laws that govern the cars. Today, right outside here, there was an enforcement action. Maybe 20 cars were pulled over. If they're speeding, if they're running to stop signs, they can get pulled over. A bicycle can get pulled over just as easily as a car. So it's tough this time of year because we're all trying to share the road and the walkway, and we all have to slow down.
Would they consider doing a path with the bikes? The scooters.
This
they come
has
at a
been
slow
studied.
pace. It's understandable.
Here's our problem with a bike path space. If we did what we did in New York and in New Jersey, made a dedicated bike lane with the existing roadway, then now you'd have a problem with cars backing up because you don't have 2 lanes anymore. If we went the other direction, you have the walkway, but you also have, most of that grass that you see is going on is called swale. It's a drainage swale. So to reduce that is very difficult to get permitted. When we put this new walkway in, the sidewalk on Century Boulevard, the engineer had a heck of a time getting the minimum width of the sidewalk and still have enough drainage swale to pass muster. And it was a tight squeeze. So, 50-year-old community, we're doing the best we can.
I understand. Or maybe making a notification, even though people don't listen, unfortunately.
There you go.
To at least make it say about your left and your right, little plan or something. So at least you know it's coming.
We can put something on it, but just to let you know that we have spoken to the sheriff about this, and they don't have a clear about speed or where they should be. The sheriff's department is waiting to find out where they stand legally. Should those motorized things be in the street? Should they be on the sidewalk? They don't know yet. And I'm sure that when it comes, because some of these guys do 25, 30 miles an hour, okay, even though the speed limit is 25, they're going faster. And the sheriff has been made aware of it, but they're waiting for a clearance from their higher-ups on what they can do about it.
You guys do an excellent job.
We try hard. Yes, next. Lou, I know you got it, yes, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi, Louisa.
I have a question. Sometimes I'm afraid to ask questions because maybe I can get, hearing back from
You're welcome to ask a question you want. Come to the microphone. Grab the microphone
Come
so
on up,
we can hear
Louisa.
you.
So we all can hear.
It's,
Yeah. Everybody's quiet. Come on up. There's a microphone right there. There are no dumb questions. Only questions that need to be answered.
okay. I need to know if there is anything that, who should I call or who should I report? There is an owner in my condominium that they say is a hoarder, and she has used very profanity language against myself, against the landscapers from Secret, against two other owners that used to be vice president, and another lady that she was living in New York and she moved here. She lives permanently here. And even when I'm in my uniform, she called me very bad name, like bitch. She called me, and then I said, oh my God. Who should I complain? Who should I notify? This situation.
Louisa, this is 100%, and you've asked this question in different ways at previous meetings. This is a interpersonal matter that needs to be addressed by your board. Frankly, I think I've heard about the toilet brush issue and all that other craziness.
Yeah,
This is marriage counseling, not condominium management. You really need to talk to your board. Your board are the governors of your
But
association.
you know who is in the board? She's on the board, her mother is on the board.
Again, we can't,
her sister.
Louisa, and I've told you this many times before. This is a matter, UCO in our bylaws cannot interfere in the self-governance of a constituent association unless invited by a member of the board, and we have not been. You really need to talk to your board and work with them and work out this particular problem, okay? It's frankly not a UCO matter, okay?
So, you see, that's what I cannot do anything because the president.
And I'm
allowed
sorry this has happened to you, Louisa,
Yeah.
because you shouldn't be spoken to crossly or with bad words. But really, this is a board situation, especially since the person you're describing is a board member. She's actually our client. We work for her, not. So it's tricky for us, and we really don't want to step our toe into this. All right?
Okay.
You talk to your board.
Yes, John?
Should she go to the police as a prejudice matter?
And I've explained this to Ms. Louisa many times. If there is an issue of hate crime or harassment, she should call PBSO and make a report.
It's the only thing you have to do.
Yeah, exactly right.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm from the province of Ontario.
Yes.
Our legislators decided that the license plate stickers would be no longer issued
Right.
and no receipts would be issued for those as well.
Okay,
Is there something, probably
Yes.
other states have this as well?
no,
Is-
but
No?
you can ask Ontario, if you stop by the office, we'll give you a copy of where you can send an email, and they will send you a receipt.
Is that going to be mandatory?
I need to know that your vehicle is registered, yes, sir.
Yeah, you're not the first person from Ontario who has this problem. So Fausto and them worked out this issue where you could send an email. In other words, the new registration cards are not sent to you automatically, but if you request it, they will give you a receipt for,
They give
and
you a
we'll
receipt.
accept that as if it.
Right, we will accept that.
All right.
If you stop by the office and see Gloria or Mike today, they will give you a copy, and it has a website that you can go on, and what it does, it gives you that the vehicle is registered, and the date until which it is registered. Very plain, very simple.
Thank you.
Okay, yes? Yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry to make.
No, that's what we're here for.
The maximum amount of members on our board, according to my bylaws, that is 5,
Right,
minimum of 3.
right,
This year we have 4 who
okay,
volunteer, and the board appoint a husband of the wife that is the secretary as the president, and the husband and wife. all-
Once the new board is seated, the board may appoint a unit owner to fill an existing seat. This happens every year in my association for my wife.
But the board, that person has to volunteer to do that, right? Ask the board to appoint them.
Sure.
To her.
Or you can ask them. The main thing is to fill the seat.
Okay, thank you.
but if, they only get one vote, because it's one unit. Right, so if you have a husband and wife, okay, you only get one vote.
then
So,
we
so
can-
on board votes, things that the board votes on, my wife and I each have a vote. And usually we cancel each other out. On membership votes, things that the entire membership's gonna vote on, let's say a change in your documents, or a significant alteration of common element, we get one vote between us.
Okay, but the board gets 2.
Yes.
On the board, we each get our own.
Okay.
And like I said, we usually cancel each other out, and on membership votes, I cede my right to my partner, you know, what's the point?
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, now, I'm not clear on, okay, so my husband and I are both on the board.
Yes,
And all this time, I keep thinking, we're just allowed one vote, either he or I.
You're allowed one vote on membership votes. So let's say, all right, so let's say you want to put a patio in. That would be a membership vote, because it's an addition to the common element. All the unit owners get the vote. In that case, you and your husband will have to decide who votes for you. It'll be one. In some associations, you have to do a certificate of who gets the vote, because sometimes you have units that have 5 owners, and you have to have a certificate of which one of you will represent the unit. So on membership votes, your unit gets 1. On board votes, you and your husband each get your whole, and unlike me, you guys don't cancel yourself out. You'll probably both vote the same way.
So what do you mean, I'm still confused, so we get 2 votes for,
Board vote, you each vote.
okay, what is?
Membership vote, you get 1 vote.
A board vote is
What do
just
you
when
mean
your
by board
board is
vote?
together.
I'll make it simple for you. You have a new owner that wants to buy in your building. And you have your meeting with all your officers, and you determine if there's 5 of you, okay? Each gets a vote to say, yes, this person we're gonna allow this person in. Okay, so 5 of you vote, and it's good. Now,
You said that a husband and wife.
that's to get the certificate of occupancy. It needs 2 separate people.
And what's the reason for that?
I don't
The
know.
reason is, there have been situations where a husband and wife are on the board, and they basically are sneaking in new owners and new renters without letting the rest of the board know. So Eva wants to make sure that everybody on the board is aware, and you do that by having 2 unrelated signatures and the seal. All we're trying to do here is make sure your board doesn't get any surprises. And you do get that with a husband and wife team kind of running things. So we want to moderate that as best as possible.
So on a board vote,
You each get a vote. The only time you would get one vote between you is when it is a membership vote, something that the entire membership is going to vote on new patio, an amendment to your bylaws, things of that nature. That's the difference. Shauna tells me when I have to get a membership vote, and that happened last year when I tried to take money out of my paint, I tried to take money out of my roof fund to do the paint job. I got stopped. Shauna said, no, you have to have a membership vote. So we had to get 18 out of 24. Membership, one vote. Board, each your own vote.
So at a board meeting, if something comes up between the board only,
Board vote,
he gets a vote, I get a vote.
you both get votes at a board meeting.
Huh,
Membership vote, you get one vote for the unit.
got it.
All right?
Yes, ma'am.
What if you're not married and you live in the same?
Marriage has nothing to do with it. We're not even allowed to recognize marriage for purposes of housing by federal law. It's co-owners of the unit. There's nothing to do with being married.
Yes, Lou, I know you have a question. I see your hand. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid.
On a membership vote, is it a majority, a simple majority of one?
Depends on your documents. In my association, the documents say 2/3, 66 1/3. In some units, I've seen associations, not here at Century Village, where it is 100%. Statute allows that it can't be any lower than 51%. And if your documents are silent altogether, it reverts to statute, 51%.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Any other question? Yeah. Okay. All right. Miss Ruth, would you like to say anything on behalf of the paper? You're doing such a wonderful job.
We're doing very well at the paper. We're ahead of the game. We had a lot of campaign votes, campaign ads, so we took in a lot of money. Unfortunately, there are no campaigns every year, but we're doing well. If any of you write, please send in a copy. I'll review it for publication. We're always looking for stories. We're looking for new input. The paper will be out the end of this month. As usual, the February issue is coming out. There's a lot of good items in there. Read it thoroughly. It's your best source of information. Any questions?
Thank you, Ruth. Just for those of you that don't know, at one point we had about 15 people that worked on the UCO Reporter, and they got a paper out, and now Ruth is by herself. She does a fantastic job. She does. Okay, Patricia, would you like to say a few words?
Just repeat what I always say, I guess. Hi, for those of you who are new, I'm chair of transportation. And I say this repeatedly, and I'll say it again. Someone called me yesterday to give me a complaint over the phone. I didn't take it. If you don't put it in writing, and they have forms here and forms at UCO, the bus company is not interested. I will say this, if you write your complaint on the form, they will get back to you. When I have a meeting, a lot of people have said, oh, they called me from Academy. So they are interested in knowing if a bus driver is rude, if they passed them up. It could be a compliment or a complaint. If we don't hear about it, we don't know. So if someone comes in and they're irate and they're complaining to me about the same bus that's doing the same thing, it's the first time I'm hearing it. Just put it in writing and it will get done. That's about all. As far as this year, there's a lot less complaints than when they first started. And also, please don't ask me to have more stops put in. We're already at about 168, right, Donald? We started out at 110. We cannot make any more changes to the bus schedule. You can get them here, and you can get them at UCO. Any questions? No? Okay. Have a beautiful day. God bless.
Jerry, would you like to say a few words?
Okay, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. I'm getting over some laryngitis, so you have to bear with me. I don't know exactly what was covered because I had just come from the doctor, that's why I was late. But I will tell you that, first of all, I think that our team is really good. We try to help as many people as we can. I'll just give you the standard. We are not lawyers. I cannot give legal advice to anybody who calls me. I cannot call up an association and beg and plead for a new owner to be accepted. And believe me, I've gotten 3 or 4 phone calls. Can I call somebody up on these? They need to be accepted. I cannot do that. It goes back to the association. The association is the bottom line. Also, don't follow the rumor mill. You'd be amazed on how much information gets to me through rumors, and is this true? Is this happening or that happening? I'll just give you one quick example. UCO signed a new contract with broadband. You're all getting A, B, C, and D. It's not true. And this gets around the rumor mill, and it's unbelievable. One of the things that I've also seen, and this has to do with the gentleman with the bicycle, is that many times at night I see people walking in the street and not on the sidewalk. They don't wear reflectors, they don't wear anything, they just wear dark clothing. Thank God I have good eyesight, so I'm able to see, but there are people whose eyesight are not as good as mine, and God forbid, one day, these people who are walking, if you see somebody walking in the street at night, tell them to get on the sidewalk, or put on a reflector. Because unfortunately, 2 years ago, we had a gentleman who was crossing Abbott Hill Road and was killed. So, just a word to the wise. The only other thing that I would have to say is just be on top of the new regulations that are coming out, that came out in July with regard to the 4-hour class for board members. With regard to the end of this year, you have to have a website for your association, and trying to think is anything else. And if you have if you live in a 3 or 4 story building, make sure that your initial inspection, the milestone inspection, has been done by now, and that you get a copy of it, and also that your strategic reserve study is also done, because that will determine what your maintenance is going to be for the next 5 or 10 years. And I've heard that some buildings are going up to $1,000 a month. So just be aware. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Jerry. Yes, John?
On the board members, if you have a board and you have a couple people who haven't gotten the certificate yet, the 4-hour class, I guess, but they've taken board votes, can somebody
90, they're good, they're on the board for 90 days after they're elected.
So after 90 days, if they vote,
They're off the board.
They're automatically off.
Automatically off the
if they
board.
were on and they voted, somebody can contest those votes.
Absolutely. State statute says they have 90 days to be certified.
You know if they would put on the bill of vacancy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever date they start,
Yep.
they have 90 days.
Yep.
It's 4 hours now, and then every year after that, it's 1 hour. But
First 90 days, their votes would count. After
right.
that-
Do they give that 1-hour recap every year here?
Yes. The 4-hour course, the tentative date is going to be the February 10th. But yes, Mark makes an effort, Mark Friedman, the attorney, to have these classes here at the clubhouse.
The issue has become that the DBPR has to certify the people that are giving that course. Okay? So, yes, Lou?
Is the February 10th meeting going to happen, or is,
It has not been confirmed yet.
so how
It's
will we,
tentative.
when
what-
will we know, when will
As
it,
soon as Mark Friedman lets us know that.
I'd imagine in the next week.
Yeah,
will it
it-
be announced somewhere?
yeah,
Of
it will, we will announce it, it will be on the TV, and Donald will put it in his report.
Lou, just pencil it into your,
Yeah.
it's probably going to happen, but we're just not going to tell the community right now, because Mark's just got to give us the final okay.
Is that going to be offered online or?
Yes.
No, as far as I know, right now, the department, DBPR, has said no online courses will be certified. They want you in person to sit in the classroom through that. That may change, but right now, you gotta be in person.
What Friedman was offering.
Friedman did it once and then he was stopped. He's not allowed to do that, he's not even allowed to do it in person here until they get certified. Until they get, yes,
If you get word, or,
Yes.
if you get word this coming week,
Yeah.
that to go. on-
We'll put it in, of course, we'll put it in the paper, absolutely, yes, okay.
But he only said, like, say, like, if we have a board meeting, I get on the board.
Right.
And the meeting's in February, like you said, what
Yeah.
happens if I'm not gonna be here at that time? Is there a way to tag it up?
Right now, no. I mean, you can go on the HOA Condo Expo website, put West Palm Beach. When you go there, it'll tell you all the dates that will be here in Palm Beach. But they also do it in other
So
towns.
we can go to a facility outside of here, we don't have.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Condo Expo is the best, they'll list all where they have it. I know they have it in Miami, they have it in Fort Lauderdale. Oh, there is now? Okay. So they've made online courses available.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
I'll send a link, thank you.
So, okay. Like I said,
That's
these,
become the big issue in our association.
it's, well,
4 hours of school, it's a pain in the neck.
yes. Yes, ma'am.
So I took the course online in December with Mark.
Yes.
That was 4 hours.
Yes.
That was,
Qualifies. After July 1st of 2024, that qualifies.
okay.
It was online.
That was online.
That was online, yeah.
So are they offering it again online?
According to Donald, it's gonna be offered again online, but we don't know when.
I'm looking.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at the Becker website right now in big giant letters. The wait is over. The 4-hour board certification class are now available. Click here for a link. But Becker will be charging non-clients and managers a nominal fee to take the course. Clients may take the course free of charge. So if you take it here, there's no charge. He does that as a service to the community. But the firm is going to charge, if you're not represented by Becker, there'll be a small charge.
But if they are, yeah, they are the attorneys of the association.
Then they're not gonna charge.
We are clients.
There's a lot of, when these new laws come in, sometimes it takes a little while for them to straighten out. They make the laws, and then somebody has to implement those laws. And
I'm going to put this link in my report this week, so you'll see.
Thank you.
Donald, go ahead. You wanna make the last before?
Oh, yeah, before we break up, next Friday, the 24th, there's going to be a town hall meeting here at the Clubhouse Theater, and this is about the La Quinta Inn being purchased by the county and converted to a homeless shelter. This is intended to be an informational meeting that Commissioner Weiss put together. The county staff is going to be there. They're going to update us on where they're at with that, and you'll be able to, A, tell them how you feel about this, and B, ask questions. We really want that theater to be full. This will be a media event. There will be television and newspaper reporters there. The more full that room is, and the louder we are, frankly, the better chance we'll have to make. The vast majority of this community is vehemently against having this this facility at our gates, and I agree with this. We need to fill it, so tell your neighbors. Flyers are going out. There are flyers at the.
If you didn't pick up a flyer, make sure you get one, put it on your bulletin board.
Bring everybody, because they need to know that this is something that's really going to affect us, and how it's going to affect us is monetarily. Because if this thing happens, almost certainly we're going to have to hire more security. We're going to have to add more cameras, put up higher fences. It's a tax. That's how I see it. We're going to have to spend to adjust to this new problem. So next Friday. Say again? Yeah, our county commissioner put it together because.
I have the same question you were gonna have, so are they gonna reimburse us for all that extra 230?
Exactly right. What they're saying is, well, we're gonna have more police presence there, maybe we'll have a substation. My personal experience with this back home is that they always do that at the beginning, and then it's a government, the resources are removed, brought someplace else, and then you got a snake bit on your hands. And that's the only way I can describe it.
They have to give us a 99-year contract because they're gonna maintain the security.
Yeah, except that the person you're in contract with is the government, so, what do you do?
Speaking of government, we do have one Congressman, Brian Mast, that has been working with us. He's had a representative in our office, and he's listened to us. That he's actually against this money being spent any way, shape, or form to convert that to anything other than a hotel. Yes, sir.
We've been owners for 19 years, and I have seen through the years a lot of more homeless in this area here.
Yeah.
So they put
It's all over.
there, it's going to be even more.
Yes.
You know, and we are seniors. You know, there's no reason why they have to put it in here, two of them. Low-income housing on one side. You're going to have the.
Well, that's why we're saying, come to the meeting, come into the meeting, make your voice be heard. I mean, we're trying. I mean, go ahead, ma'am.
Is this meeting gonna cover anything about the other side, like the Harvard Hill,
You certainly can ask that question, but I can answer for you now. That project is probably not going to happen. The county commissioners have remanded it back to staff, which is a government nice way to say kick to the curb. I don't think you're going to be seeing that one. And all of the commissioners, and remember that one's not in our district. That's in Commissioner Brown's, Commissioner Powers' district. They're all against it, and they kicked it back to staff. So I don't think it's going to happen. But by all means, ask the question. So let them answer.
Okay. Make sure you come to that meeting. Anything else before we go home? I want to thank you very much for coming. And for those of you that are presidents or vice president, eventually you'll get a phone call to come. I do basically the same presentation, but I give you all the backup paperwork to go back and educate your board members. So enjoy, have a good month. See you soon.